Hello, and thank you for joining me today. Well, this is the Monday, June the 8th edition of our video devotionals, and thank you so much for joining us today. I hope your Monday's going well. It is the beginning of the work week, and it's also, as I found out, as I was looking out my kitchen window this morning, that the kids that live across the street who ride the school bus picked them up and said, well, their last day was not Friday. And I found out the last day for them, Randolph County, here where we live, is for the public school system anyway. The last day is June the 10th. That's Wednesday. I don't remember ever going that long, even with the snow days we would have when I was a kid. But at any rate, it goes to June the 10th. So that's kind of going into their summer vacation. But I guess you got to realize too, they had those days off when it was snow and ice, and so they did have those days off. All right, so we're going to be in John chapter 13, verse 21 today, just the one verse. Thank you so much for watching the videos. Thank you for comments and acknowledgments. And remember, a dear lady who attends our church, she's not been to church for a few services because of her health, and she watches these videos. So if you'd pray for her, I know she would appreciate that. And she knows who she is, okay? All right, so John 13, when you get to John 13 at this point, because there's, I think, 20, let me make sure I'm right on this. I was going to say 22 chapters to the book of John, and it is actually only 21. So when you get to John chapter 13 at that point, you're talking about things, as far as I say, kind of slow down when it comes to the chapters of the Bible. You get to John chapter 13, you're talking about the upper room experience where Jesus will meet with those disciples. And there's the fruit of the vine and the bread and all of that. And then, of course, he would leave there and go to the Garden of Gethsemane and would pray. Then he'd be arrested there. And then, of course, it'd be the trial, the crucifixion, resurrection. So you've got chapters 13 through 21 that deal with all of that. And yet within this, describing the events and all that, some of the most powerful truths that we are given, which we won't get into that today. But I want to show you something today that I think is very interesting that I want to point out. Maybe it'll be a blessing to you, maybe some help too. All right, so John 13:21 says this: when Jesus had thus said, he was troubled in spirit and testified and said, verily, verily, I say unto you that one of you shall betray me. So here's where he says that one of you is going to betray me. We know that's going to be Judas. The others did not know who it was going to be. In fact, they all were like, well, I guess it could be me that we're saying. But Judas is going to leave because he has the bag. He was like the treasurer of the group. And they thought, well, it's probably not him. He's just going to do an errand for Jesus and buy something. But indeed, it was Judas. And the interesting thing about this is that Jesus was troubled in spirit. So two things. One is, was Jesus troubled because he knew what was ahead of him? Not that Jesus was trying to not go to the cross. He knew that was going to happen. But, when Jesus prayed in the Garden of Gethsemane, he said, if it be thy will, let this cup pass from me. And but not my will, but thine be done, speaking to the Father. And Jesus was just, we say this, and I guess this would be accurate. I don't want to just pass things along because traditionally these things are said. But, Jesus was going to take on the sin of all the world. And we know that when Jesus would be on the cross, that he would cry, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? That's because of sin that he was taken on. Jesus had no sin. So was it because of that part that Jesus was troubled, or could it be, this is what I want to emphasize here very quickly, could it be when Jesus was troubled in spirit, and then the very next statement is, verily, verily, I say unto you that one of you shall betray me. Could it be that Judas, because Judas was a human being, and Jesus died for Judas, would die for Judas. Judas was an apostle of Jesus Christ. He was one of the 12 that were selected. Judas is one that Jesus knew because they literally interacted together, and Judas did things with Jesus and the disciples. Could it be that Jesus was troubled because he says, and I'm just saying it like I would say it, how sad it is for one to be so close to me. How sad it is to be so loved by me, Jesus speaking. And yet Judas would go and betray the Lord Jesus Christ, the Son of God, and he would do that for 30 pieces of silver. And Jesus perhaps was troubled by saying, what a shame, what a waste. How terrible it is that this is one here that will spend eternity in hell because of his decision. So I guess the practical side very quickly is this: we should all be disappointed when someone, as we use the term, goes bad. they don't turn out right. They go away. They betray people that love them, and they go the wrong path. They go the wrong direction. And Judas certainly did that big time. But the point is, maybe Jesus was troubled, and maybe it's both. But should it not bother us when we hear about someone that, goes off the rails, has not done right, they've gone into sin, whatever it might be, and should we not be disappointed? Not so much hurt because it happened to me. Now, we can all be hurt by that. I get that. I've felt betrayal by people. I felt that. I have been hurt. All of us have, okay? But here's the thing, though. Because we get hurt, I get that. But should it not trouble us shouldn't we certainly say, boy, I wish it didn't happen, though. Maybe could I pray for them more? And we'll continue to pray for them, perhaps. So it should trouble us when anybody goes bad. Not, there you go, they're going to get what they deserve. That I think that's the wrong attitude. God is the judge. God is the one who will take care of vengeance and all of that. So perhaps we should be more troubled when we hear about people who themselves, like Judas, does something awful, bad. And we should be troubled by that, saying, I wish that didn't happen. And especially when it's people we know and people we love, right? So that's just something to consider today on this Monday. Otherwise, thank you for watching. Have a great day, safe day, healthy day, and we'll see you, Lord willing, back tomorrow.